Hi, it's LeJanaro back with another video. I would like to say welcome to all of my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel and everyone who keeps coming back each time I post a new video. So today I'm going to be sewing up Simplicity 1338 and I will be doing view B. I'm not doing any embroidery. I'm using some Falcon's fabric that I got from Joann. And view B is the medium sized tote. Here is the finished tote. Right? Does have the pockets on the side here. Right? So I'm going to be sewing up this tote. I will be talking in this video and also showing the sewing part of it. If you decide to make this pattern, the back of the pattern envelope has everything you're going to need depending on which view you are going to make. So of course the sizes of everything is different based on the tote that you make. Since I made the medium tote, it gave me the specific sizes of the webbing, the elastic. The instructions will tell you how much you need because the back of the envelope just tells you the regular amount, but then you're gonna cut the two in half, so the instructions will tell you what size you need to cut. And again, it all depends on which view you're going to make of this pattern. Very, very easy sew. I like this. And my friend wants me to learn embroidery because she likes her initial on everything. So she was like, I want one and I want my initial in the middle. Like, okay. But yes, and I do think it kind of looks better with the contrasting colors with this solid and then the pockets, you know, with the mixed print. But I wanted to do a test on this bag because I have some other fabric that I actually want to use to make the same bag. So I just wanted to do a prototype bag. I have a ton of this Falcon's fabric on hand, so I just decided to grab it and make this bag. All right, again, if you decide to make this, make sure you look at the back of the pattern envelope to see how much fabric, elastic, webbing you're going to need. You're also going to need a magnetic snap, and then the instructions will tell you how to cut your webbing and your elastic and everything. But I'm going to go through and make this bag. All right, so let's talk about the pieces I'm going to use for view B. It's piece number 5, which is the inside pocket. You cut 2, and I cut 2 of interfacing just to give my pockets a little bit more body, but it doesn't call for interfacing on the pattern piece. Pattern piece number 6, which is the front and back. You cut 2 of fabric, cut 2 of interfacing, and the interfacing I cut is fusible fleece. It's piece number 6. Piece number 7, which is the side panel, you cut 4 of fabric and 4 of interfacing, and I cut fusible fleece for my interfacing. And then piece number 8 is the side pocket. You cut 4 of these. I did not cut interfacing because you're going to put 2 pieces together, so I didn't cut interfacing, and it doesn't say cut interfacing. And then last but not least is piece number 9 is down on the floor, which is the lining, which is one whole piece. All right, but I'll call it out when I get to it. All right, so first thing I need to do, I'm going to see if I can work with a couple of pieces at one time. So I'm going to take my side panel and I am going to side panels. I have 4 of them. I'm going to pin them together with right sides facing, and I am going to pin my notches are over here on the long on these longer sides. That's not the side that I'm pinning. I'm actually pinning the shorter sides. All right, so you're not pinning the sides. You're not pinning the sides with the 2 notches. You're pinning the side with the 1 notch. All right, and you can see on the pattern piece you have 2 notches, which is on your long side, and then 1 notch, which is on the shorter slanted side. Right, so I'm gonna pin that together. So I may be going a little out of order than the directions, but that's only because I'm batch sewing. Trying to maximize my time. And usually when I'm making bags, I would use binder clips, but because this is cotton cloth, I'm just using pins. Alright, so I got one side pinned, pin this other side. But this is the first step after you iron on all of your interfacing. This is actually the first step. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine, sew down that edge. But before I do that, I'm going to take piece number 8, which is your side pockets. And you have 4 of these. And you're going to pin them grab 2 and 2. I need to make sure everything's going in the right direction. Well, I guess it doesn't matter now because the things are already cut. Ooh, that's funny. So this is piece number 8, which is your side pockets. You have notches on the shorter edges. You're not pinning the shorter edges, you're pinning the long edges. So you're placing them with right sides facing. And you're going to pin along the longer edge. Alright, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to sew down those edges on your 2 pockets. Sew across the top edge. You're going to flip your pockets open to the right side, press them, right? And when you have it nice and pressed, flip it to the right side so that then wrong sides are facing. And then you'll sew 5/8 of an inch across the top half, and then you'll baste the sides and the bottom. Right? So we have to sew the 2 pieces across the top first. Flip it so that wrong sides are facing so you can see the right side of the fabric. Then you're going to sew 5/8 of an inch across the top, and then baste the sides and the bottom. And this is for piece number 8, your side pockets. Alright, and last but not least, I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. This is piece number 5, which is your inside pocket. This is not the next step, right? But like I said, I like to batch sew, so I like to get a lot of things done at once. Alright, so you have 2 inside pockets. You're going to put 1 pocket on each side of the lining. So you're going to take these, fold them in half, right? So you're folding the, I think I'm off camera, folding the shorter edges together. right? So, right, and what you're going to do, you're going to sew, you're going to leave an opening. So you're going to sew from here across and then down, from here across, down, right? Make sure you leave an opening because you have to turn it, and you should have 2 pockets, right? And then when you're done with your pockets, you turn it to the right side and press it, right? So here's the other pocket, right? So I'm folding it in half with the shorter edges meeting, and you sew it the same way. Start from one pin, go across, and then down the side. One pin, go across, down the side. All right, and then I'll meet you back here. And when we come back here, we're going to need our elastic, and the pattern will tell you what size elastic you need. Okay, so I got all of those things sewn. Here's one of my pockets. I'm going to show you how I did this in a second. I grabbed my label because I'm going to put it here along my pocket. These are the 2 side pockets. You sew them with right side spacing. You sew across the top, then you flip them over so that the right side is facing up. Sew 5/8 of an inch across, and then baste the sides and the bottom. You also need to fold them in half and find the center. And when you find the center, just take a pen and mark it with a pen. You'll need that later. Find the center, and if it helps, you can also press that, to make your center more defined. I'm going to set these aside. These are the side pockets, and then I also got done the sides of the bag. Alright, so let me show you real quick what I did to the pocket. So I like to trim my seam allowance down. I keep a little bit at the opening, so when I get ready to close the opening, a little seam allowance to tuck it down in there helps. Right, then I'm just going to use that opening and turn this to the right side, poke out all of my corners, and then I'm going to press it so it looks nice and neat like that. Right, after I turn it to the right side, poke out all of my corners and press, I'm actually going to work on my lining. And I'm going out of order. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with my lining. set that aside until I can press it. Grab one of your lining pieces, and you're going to do this to both sides of your lining. You're also going to add a magnetic snap, but I will do that afterwards. So here's my lining. I usually eyeball it, but you can fold it in half to find your center. And then you can also do the same with your pocket to find the center. Fold it in half. Now what you want to do, a couple of things. With directional fabric, you want to make sure that your fabric is going in the right direction. Also, you want to make sure that your opening is facing towards the bottom of the lining. All right. In the pattern, it gives you measurements on how far down to place the pocket. Yeah. So yes, just make sure your fabric is going in the right direction. And you're going to do this to both sides of the lining. That way. So that's just me sticking my label in. I'm going to use a pen to pin it in place. And you are going to sew down the side, across the bottom, making sure you close that opening, and then back up this side. So down, across, up, and then you'll have an opening here at the top. Right, you have your opening here at the top, and you're going to do the same thing to the other lining piece. Then I'll come back and show you how to add the magnetic snap and then finish putting the lining together. Okay, so now let's add the magnetic snaps. Same thing I do to this side, I'm going to do to the other side. So you have your magnetic snaps. You should have a male that has a little pokey thing there, and the female who has the innie here. So yeah, you should have two pieces. Some magnetic snaps come with washers, some don't. I like to add these foam pieces just for extra security. And I also just took a little square piece of fusible fleece and put it back here. Alright, so I found my center here. And again, the pattern will tell you how far to go down. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take one of my washers. In fact, let me do this the right way. So when I get ready to do my other one, my things will be uniform. My magnetic snaps will be uniform. I'm using a regular pen only because I can't find my friction pen. Alright, so I'm going to take I made a little dot in the center. I'm going to take my washer. There's a hole here, and then there's two slits on the side. Alright, so I'm going to take my seam ripper. Just going to make tiny little slits. Don't make them too big. Alright. I'm going to take my... And again, this foam is not really necessary. It's just extra security for me. And I'm just making slits in the foam. Right, so take one side of your magnetic snaps, doesn't matter if it's the male or female, and just from the right side place it through those slits you made. Right, so from the right side I place the prongs through the slits. I put the foam on top, then I take my washer, place that on top, and then just fold this down. I usually have pliers, but they are not right here at this particular second. You can fold these away from each other or in towards each other. It's up to you. Right. I have seen some people put like masking tape or something like painter's tape on this part. I don't do that, but just another layer of protection. All right, so do the other lining piece the same way with the other side of the magnetic snap. Got the pockets on both sides and then the magnetic snap. So just place these with right sides facing. Right, I'm gonna pin. You need to leave an opening in your lining. You can leave it in the bottom or the side. One side, not both sides. I find that I like, when I make my tote bags, I like to leave my openings on the side. I like that a little better. So I'm just gonna leave an opening here on this side. Right, so I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew all the way down this side, across the bottom. I'm going to sew from here to the bottom, and from the top to this pin, leaving that opening. Then once I do that, I'll place my hand on the inside. Well, you'll see me do it on camera on the at the sewing machine. I'll finish up my corners at the sewing machine. So go ahead and grab your side pockets. You have two of them. I've already done one, so I'm going to show you what I did with this one. On your side pocket pattern piece, you have pleats here, right? So I just went ahead and marked my pleats down here with just some chalk, and you do the pleat in the direction that are on the pattern, that is on the pattern. So with this pleat is pointing this way. So I just line up, what I do, I just line up the two lines. I just match up the two lines and fold it over. Left my pins over there. And then this pleat over here is coming this way. So I just match up my two lines and then fold the little side of the fabric down. Just bringing your lines together basically. right? You're going to take it to the sewing machine just to sew your pleats in place. This pin is marking the center. I had it marked here at the top, but I needed to move it down for the center, to the center for my next step, or the step after this step I'm about to show you. All right, so once you have your pleats just sewn in place, your pattern will tell you to cut 2 pieces of elastic. It'll tell you what size. The size depends on which view of the bag you're doing. All right, so when you sew this across the top, there should be an opening here. I'm just going to take my bodkin and my elastic and bring it through. I love using the bodkin for this because I don't have to worry about losing the other end of my elastic. Right, so here's one end of my elastic. So I'm leaving just a teensy bit out, and I'm going to pin it in place because I don't want it to move. And then you'll see me do this at the sewing machine. So I'm going to sew my pleats in place. I'm going to baste here to hold this, hold this elastic in place. Then I'm going to pull the rest of my elastic through with my bodkin and baste that in place. All right. So I've already done this with one piece. I'll show the sewing part before we move on to this next step. So I'm going to take the pocket that I've already done, and what I'm going to do is, this is one of my sides. I'm going to match up the center of my pocket with the center of my side here, which is the seam. So I want to make sure I do this right. So what I'm going to do, turn the pocket upside down basically. So the bottom of the pocket is at the bottom of your side. So this is the top of my pocket with the elastic. This is the bottom. You're going to line it up, right? Line up the center here and line up the center here. And if you know, let me bring this up because I want to make sure you can see it. I wasn't sure if you could see it down there. All right. So once you're done, your pocket will be like this. So just take your pocket, flip it downward. All right. Match up the center of your pocket with your center seam here. And you're going to sew across to sew this in place. And once you sew it in place, you'll flip it up. You'll flip your pocket up. All right. And you should have some notches here. You should have some notches on your pocket, on your side pockets, and some notches here on your sides. And you match up those notches. All right. So of course you're not going to pin all the way down at the bottom. You're going to come up just a little bit. Let me see if it tells you. A half an inch. You're going to come up a half an inch. And that's where you're going to line the center of this pocket. And then you're going to sew across. All right. All right, so now that you have the pocket sewn, just grab the top of the pocket and fold it up, bring it up. All right, you should have some notches to match up on your side panels as well as your pocket. So you match up those notches. And pin, and you're going to baste your pocket in place on both sides. Right, at one side, now the other side. Right, take it to the sewing machine and just baste your pocket in place. Now that you have your pocket in place, go ahead and grab your two front and back pieces, which is piece number 6, right? Make sure everything's going the right direction. This is 1. So what you're going to do, you're going to place it with right sides facing. You should have some notches. Let me make sure my... And you're going to pin. Right, so that's pinned to one side. Then you're going to take the other side and also place it with right sides facing, because you want to be able to open both pieces up like this, and then you're going to grab your other side panel to put on the other end. Right, so this is your other piece. Place it with right sides facing. Pin. All right. So you should, when you pin them, you should be able to open them up like this. That way you know you pin them right. And then you're going to grab your other side panel and you're going to, either side is fine. You're going to put your other side panel on one of these sides. I'm just going to fold that one down and pin it to that one. All right, make sure I got everything going the right direction. This is my other side panel. I'm just going to take it on this end and I'm going to place it with right sides facing. You should have notches as a guide. Right? So when you open it up, it should look like this. And leave it like this once you sew it, because we have to add our straps after that. Right, so I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew down this edge. I'm going to sew down this edge and this edge. All right. So 1, 2, 3. Alright, so this is what it looks like. No, you can't see it all at once, but we got everything attached. Now grab your straps. And the length of your straps is going to again depend on which view you're making. And the pattern will tell you what size strap to cut. I'm just using some black webbing. So you're going to leave your ends free, all right, for right now. Right, so the two ends, a strap won't be there yet. So you're going to put a strap here. Right, so I'm just going to put it in the center there and pin. And you should have a marking on your pattern piece on the front and back pattern piece number 6 that'll tell you where to stop sewing your strap. So I'm just going to put a pin there. I can lift that up. There we go. All right. Then I'll just place some more pins just to hold it in place. All right. So that's one side of your strap. Make sure it doesn't twist or anything like that. And then place the other side of the strap here. All right. So this is one strap. And I'm going to pin here where I need to stop sewing. Not stop sewing altogether, but I'll tell you in just a second what you'll be doing. All right. And then I'm going to add the one side of the other strap. All right, so what you're going to do, you're basically going to sew up, and then here where I said I was going to stop, I'm going to sew across and then back down. Same thing here. Start here, sew all the way up to where I need to stop, go across and then back down. Right, and then the same thing with this one side of the strap. Take one side of the second strap and pin. And then you have your spot here where you're going to stop. Sew across and then back down. And then leave the other side of this strap loose for now, because we got to sew once we sew these straps, then we're going to come back and we're going to place our bag with the right sides facing to sew this front and back piece to this side seam piece. All right, Then we can finish up this side of our strap. All right. Okay, so you saw at the sewing machine that I put, I went ahead and sewed together the last side panel and the last front and back side together. So now it's starting to look more like a bag. So I'm going to turn it to the right side. Alright, so this is one side. Got the straps on, and this is going to be the other side. Now I have to figure out how to maneuver this strap on here. So I'm just going to take this strap, because these are the two sides that I had left to sew together. I just put them right sides facing and just sewed down. So now I'm going to take this strap. This was the side of the strap that I had left. So I'm not sure how I'm going to maneuver this at the sewing machine, but I'll figure it out, I guess. Looking for my chalk line for where to stop. It might be better to sew it on a domestic, but I don't have one set up with black thread. So I may not show this part simply because I just don't know how long it's going to take, and I don't want to. The video's probably already long, but I'll get it. Alright, so I'm going to take it to the sewing machine. I'm going to sew down, across, and back down. So I'll probably just have to keep pushing this back part back. I don't know. We'll see. We'll figure it out. And after I get this strap on, I'm going to turn the bag to the wrong side, so that right sides are facing. So you turn, once I finish that strap, I'm going to turn the bag back so that the wrong sides will be facing out, and they'll be right sides together. And then you'll sew across the bottom, and then you'll finish your corners just like you finish the corners on the, or how I finish the corners on the lining. Because again, it'll be a full bag. So you'll turn this. Try not to stick myself with the pins. After you finish sewing the strap, or I finish sewing the strap, turn it to the wrong side. So now right sides are facing. Line up this bottom, sew across the bottom, and then you finish up these square corners just like we did on the lining. All right. So now you have a tote bag. I was struggling a little bit trying to get that strap on, but I got it. Right, go ahead and turn this to the right side. And then grab your lining. Alright, there we go. Alright, make sure your straps are facing down because you don't want them to be in the way. This is super cute, guys. Alright, grab your lining. Your lining has the wrong side up. This has the right side. You're going to take your bag and place it on the inside of your lining. Again, make sure your straps are out of the way. You don't want them to get sewn into the top part here. Alright. Alright, you're going to pin all the way around with right sides facing. Alright, go ahead and match up your side seams. Alright, so now I can continue to pin around. Then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew around. So use the opening that you left in the lining to turn the bag. Once you get it turned, you'll put the lining on the inside of the bag, but don't forget to close up the opening in the lining. Here's your opening. I'm going to go ahead and pin that closed and sew it when I get to the machine. And all I'm going to do is just do a really narrow stitch from here to here, just closing the lining. Then I'll tuck the lining on the inside of the bag like so. I'm not going to tuck it all the way in, just a little bit so I can show you. Once I tuck my lining on the inside of the bag, I'm going to press around the top, and then I'm going to top stitch around the top of the bag, and the bag will be done. All right, so that is it. We have gotten this bag made, right? Hopefully you will try to make this pattern as well. Like I said, very, very easy sew. I don't know what took me so long to make this view of the pattern. I made view D many years ago. See if I can hold it. That's view D, the drawstring bag. This is it right here. And for some reason, it was so difficult for me to make, and I don't know why. Even Mommy was here with me, helping me. But for some reason, I thought that view D was extremely hard, which in hindsight, it probably wasn't. It probably was just me, and I was having a hard time trying to read the instructions. But as far as the instructions for the tote bag go, they're pretty straightforward. Yeah, they're pretty straightforward. They're not bad instructions at all. I feel like once you make it once, you should be able to make it again on your own without any of the instructions. You may just, use them as a reference to see what size webbing and elastic and different things like that But other than, you know, constantly pulling out your instructions to make the bag, once you make it one time, I think you'll be able to make it again, no problem. I am going to make this again in different fabric. But yeah, I just wanted to test it out to see, you know, how it would come out. And I do like it very much. All right. Kind of in love with it. I can't wait to, you know, learn embroidery a little bit and actually, you know, do a different version of it. So we will see. So question of the day. Have you ever seen this pattern in the Simplicity book? Do you have this pattern? Have you ever made this pattern? Let me know in the comments and I'll link the pattern below. I do believe this is still in the store. I was looking through the book. It was in the book. And I don't know if I checked the drawer or not, or if I just, you know, bypassed it while I was looking for something else. But I want to say this is still in the store. I think. If it's out of print, I'll put out of print in the description and try to find a source for it. But I do recommend this pattern. It's a great, easy bag to sew, even for beginners. All right. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.